Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at modal verbs, and this is part of the Grammar Go-Getter Intermediate course. Now I'm going to start off by giving you a basic overview of the 6 types of modal verbs that we're going to look at in this lesson. So let's get started. First of all, we've got modal verbs of strong obligation. Now what does strong obligation mean? It means rules. The things that if you don't do these things, something bad will happen, you will get punished or something like that. So for these we use must, have to, and need to. Okay, so for example, when you go to school, you must pay for your course. If you don't pay for your course, something bad will happen. You will not be allowed to attend your lessons. Okay, and we're going to look at the difference between must and have to in another short video very soon. Okay, then we move on to weak obligation. Now, weak obligation is used for advice. Okay, and for this we use should or shouldn't. Now, when we say to somebody you should or you shouldn't, what we're saying is it's a good idea or it's a bad idea. But if you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. So, for example, perhaps if you were visiting the UK, I might say you should visit York. What I mean by this is it's a good idea to visit York because it's a beautiful city. If you come to the UK, you shouldn't wear shorts in December. Although I have seen a few people walking around. It's December right now, and there are a few people walking around because you will get cold. But if you want to wear shorts, that is completely your choice. Now, you can also use these two. Ought to and oughtn't to. However, for me, these are very old-fashioned. So they're very formal, and I would not recommend using them in your speaking. Where you might want to use them is in an essay or a report or something like that, when you want to be that little bit more formal. But certainly, I'm going to put a little exclamation mark, I would say be very careful with those 2 modal verbs. Okay, I hope you're staying with me. Next, we're moving on to the one that generally I find students think is the most difficult. And that is lack of obligation. Now, lack of obligation means that it's not necessary. You can do it if you want, but there is no rule that says that you have to. There is no rule. Okay, and for this, we use don't have to or don't need to. So, for example, when I go to Kaplan, which is the school that I work at, there is a dress code. And the dress code says that I must wear smart trousers, I should wear a shirt, although if I want to wear a smart t-shirt or a jumper, then that's fine. But I don't have to wear a tie. I can wear a tie if I want, but I don't have to. It is not a rule, it's not necessary. Okay, then we come on to prohibition. Now, prohibition is also related to rules, and it means that something is not allowed. If you do this thing, you will get punished or something bad will happen. So notice that here with strong obligation, if you don't do this, then something bad will happen. Here, if you do this, something bad will happen. So, for example, for this we use mustn't or can't. Now, let me give you an example. If you are in an exam, then you mustn't look at your partner's paper. If you look at your partner's paper, then maybe the examiner will send you out. If you are in a building, for example a classroom, you mustn't smoke. If you started to smoke in class, then the teacher would ask you to leave. So you can see that if you do these things, then there is a negative consequence or something bad will happen. Okay, almost there, stay with me. Next we come on to permission. Now permission talks about when someone says it's okay for you to do that. So for example, that person could be a parent, could be a teacher, could be the government, could be the police. They say, yes, it's okay. Now in my classroom, I always make a very, very strong rule about you mustn't bring hot food into my classroom. If you do, I will ask you to leave. Again, there's that negative. But for permission, we use can or may. And I say to my students, but you can bring cold food, coffee, or water. Now in this case, I am the teacher, so I have the power to say yes or to say no. And in this case, I am saying to the students, yes, you can bring those things in. Now again, I'm going to put a little exclamation mark, meaning be careful, because may again is very formal. If you said, may I do this, then you would sound very, very formal, very old-fashioned. So again, possibly you might want to save that one for writing and this one more for your speaking because you want to sound natural when you speak. Okay, and finally we move on to ability. Now ability means you are good at something or you are not good at something. And I'm running out of space on my board here. Just made a little abbreviation here. STH means something. Okay, and for this we use can and can't, if we're talking about the present. So for example, I have never had a driving lesson in my life, which means I can't drive. Okay, but I have been teaching for a long time, so I can teach English very well. I hope you agree while you're watching me here. That's for the present. We can also use could or couldn't if we're talking about the past. And we can also use for past, present or future, we can use be able to. And again, each of these categories will be covered by a further short video in this course. So right now all I'm doing is giving you an overview of what we're going to talk about, and then there will be 6 short videos that will explain each of these in a little more detail. I hope this has been a useful course for you, and I will see you right below this video for the next one, which discusses strong obligation and rules.